with that, why don't we start with our first performer, Brandon Duffy.
Hi everyone, my name's Brandon. Today I'll be playing Nagoon from Ray Chen by Ernest Bloch.
Great. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Bravo.
Really, really, really beautiful. And well, thank you for that. And how do you feel? How do you feel about about your performance?
I mean, I was okay with it overall. There was like a few spots that I missed or I didn't think I had like quite enough like oomph in the sound, but
Okay. Well, that kind of stuff is hard to tell anyway over the
yeah,
internet. So you're all right. You're all right. I thought it was a really good performance. So
thanks.
um, no worries there. No, I always like to ask that because just to get to know what you feel, where you're sort of just to get to know you a little better. And now it's even more difficult because I have to sort of make that connection over Zoom, which can be a little bit difficult. But all in all, I think it's what you did is great. It's this, as it's Nigun, literally meaning improvisation, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there is this, I think you can do more of that improvisatory vibe, like just now this is a piece I have only heard in concert. I've actually not played it myself, but so you have to excuse me for my attempt to sight read this. You can like do a little bit more like a flair. I think things need a little bit more flourish when you play. That each section is a statement, and one that as you were playing, before we were talking, and you said that you're doing music for fun, right? You said that. Yeah. And I was just thought that's so great because that's what most professional musicians lose. They lose the fun. Everyone, it's all like, especially in conservatory, even before you try to even get a job. And it's like, everyone's just so scared of doing the wrong thing. But now you've got this ability, this amazing ability. I think it's pretty incredible. What is your major?
I did biology.
Biology. Wow. Okay. And you have this amazing opportunity to not have those shackles on you. You're free. You're truly free. Because all the professional musicians, we have to undergo this process where we have to find what we lost, what we go through. And I think that you can immediately start that now. You don't have to wait. You could just be free already. No one's going to tell you, you don't have that pressure. You know what I'm talking about here. So I think that when you play, don't worry about, what your teacher once said or what would your teacher say. I mean, I think it's still good to have that aspect, that mind when you're when you're studying, when you're making decisions like, now what fingering or bowing should I use here? But otherwise, and especially in a piece like this, you can just let go. And so I think you can really just double down on statements. And that's a mind thing. You could do it immediately right now. Do you want to try that actually? Why don't you start from that? Well, yeah, just start from the beginning again.
Right at the beginning?
Yeah, yeah. That's great. Yeah, sorry. That's already, I feel like already you're more into it. I don't know if it's because it's the second time around, but it's already, I'm already feeling, yeah, like you are into it, and that's what captivates me as a listener. So yeah, do you want to, sorry, do you want to go back a little bit and then just connect? So I'll stay quiet. Right. Yep. Okay. So that was great. That was great. I felt like it was, you were just really into it. And you know, it's this strange thing. I suddenly remember, like, maybe you always play like this. I think you always do. When you're playing by yourself, I think when you're really enjoying it, I think you already play like this. It comes to you so naturally. I think that you purposefully, and we all do this, when we play for someone that we're, like someone who might be a professor, or like, I mean, I'm charmed to think that you think that highly of me, but like, when we play in front of such people who we feel like we don't know as much as they do, we tend to then sort of put ourselves down even further. And there's no need for that.
Yeah.
Not in music. I don't think so. I think that music, maybe perhaps in other things, you don't want to show up your boss or something like that. You don't want to appear like you make them look bad. But I think in music, it's not about that. It's about showcasing your passion. And when you're performing, you're in the spotlight. So, if you ever have that mentality in other fields, I don't personally know enough about those other fields to make a statement like whether or not you should do that. But I can tell you that in music, you definitely don't need to do that. So I feel like that's one thing to always remember whenever you pick up the instrument and you're about to perform. Don't ever put yourself down, because that's not worth it. It's not necessary. So let's get a little technical here. So I thought everything was great. So you start. There, when you finally reach that da 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 dum ba ya, you don't want to. There's when you are allegando, it says there, when you broaden, you want to make sure that it doesn't come too late. Any kind of break like that is going to cause it's not good. You don't want to do that, because it just cuts the phrase. So you want to da 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 da, yeah. It's almost like you can't hold back. Like that'll create that better effect. All right. So you want to start from. Yeah, okay. Now let's try and think about how else we can build. Because music and a lot of everything, especially this piece as well as other pieces, it's all about building phrases. It's about accumulating tension and then releasing the tension. Now, whether that tension is released in a way or in a rah way, that's up to the music. Here it's like rah, right? And now, how do you accumulate tension? Well, first you have to start from almost zero, right? And we have this. You have this ability here. So first of all, you got to be a little more relaxed in the beginning. A little more mysterious. And then each time it comes back, da 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 da, ya da 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 da. You have to change the way you play those three notes. You know, that those three notes have to be a reaction from what happens before. Okay, so almost like what was that? I said that, you know, that each time you wait less, and then that also creates the anticipation of you can't wait anymore. Yeah. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, Jeremiah, can we try and work on a more mysterious sound that could that we might be happy with? Like, I think you could do better in the mysterious sound. Try to brush the strings there. Don't be too like hard. Yeah. I just realized I called you Jeremiah. I'm sorry, Brandon. My bad. Sorry. That was my bad. But yeah, that was a lot better. Lol. Oh my gosh. I just saw that like it was like Jeremiah was first and then yeah, anyway. Okay. Everyone on Discord is laughing at me. Thanks guys. So yeah, that was great. That I felt like you definitely unleashed that. And can you do that again and then this time continue and then when you reach that the climax. When you go, you know, there is da yada. There's that. That's why he did that accent there. You know, like that. That you're like, ah, this is like kind of it's the very typical wailing, right? The Jewish wailing that happens, like that kind of cantor, right? Yeah, effect. All right, let's hear that. Yeah, I'm looking closely at what you're doing, and I think that the only thing that you can do to make, because you have a good sound, you have a good sound, like your tone is very good, but you can work on varying it a little bit more when you play. Like you need to have more. When I talked about building the tension, you could do with having more of a I hate to use the word tense sound, but it's like because, for example, your last note. If you just do that, it's just like, there's no, you know, you need to have the tension in. You know, that creates like a different vibe. And actually you do physically actually have to, you know, there's no way you can play that with like just like a relaxed bow arm. You do actually have to, you know, make it tense, just like with your voice. If I'm going to do this, there's control, you're in control, but you still have to sound intense versus like, oh, if I just sound like this, you know, with a very nice round sound, you'll never have that emotion. So you should look into that. I felt like that here as well. So having the ability to change your sound, for example, that's a very like a breathy sound, but you literally have to create breath in your bow. And as this changes, you know, we're using a lot of vibrato in the left hand. You know, you have like, there's a lot of this, wow, like, and so, you know, even this piece, I can tell you from having listened to it a bunch, it's all about like, like the fact that like, I can just like, I think this piece, what do I want to say? I have to think about my words carefully, is the emotion is 90% of the piece. Yeah, the notes, playing the notes in tune is very important too, but without that, you're only, even if you get 100% of the notes right, that will still only be 10% of the final result. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So you have to really to take this piece to that next level. I think that in terms of notes, in terms of intonation, and those are the things we start to, you know, we start with worrying about. It's normal, but then you're past that. I think you can now really invest a lot of time into asking yourself what makes a passionate sound. What makes a loud, like a strong, passionate sound? What makes a quiet, passionate sound? And like when you're doing it, sing it. Use your voice, because that's a way that when, you know, musicians are we don't have to worry about the intonation and stuff. I just get them to try and do it with their voice, and then if they can do like a very quiet, intense voice, or if they can, you know, do a very intense, loud voice, and then if they can just do a soft voice, like, and think about, and then reverse engineer what the voice does, because that's really what the violin is. It's made to sound like the voice, right? So plus with its own flavor. So think about that when you're playing. Otherwise, I think that it was like really awesome. There was one part that I felt like you could phrase on the second page before the poco meno lento. Oh God, where am I? You should not linger on the A too long. You should go straight for the B. And then do that. So otherwise, if we have two stops, we don't know which one is more important. And here it's definitely the B. That's where the pause is, as he wrote. Let's see, what else? Yeah, everything that I've said, even though we only worked on a small section on the first page, really, like it applies to the whole piece. So, and then when you figure that out, then it's about, okay, perhaps structuring it so that you don't spend all of your coin, your emotional coin, in the beginning, right? Or to make statements and then to have, maybe you spend a bit and then you knowing that you have some calm moments and then you can spend it again later. So then it's about overall structuring. But I think first you need to unlock that. And so that's what we've spent, I think, most of our time doing, is unlocking first your own inhibition of the pressure you put on yourself. And then after that, which was very easy, like you already did it, then it's to unlock more potential, because then you have way more colors. You can do all sorts of, all sorts of things. And yeah, it's gonna like color the whole, the painting is just gonna be so vivid when you play. So thank you so much for this. And I think that's all we have time for right now. So yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, good luck with the piece. Do you have any questions or anything in the piece?
Not right now.
Not right now? All right. Or anything that I said?
I think everything made sense right now. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. Like
Thank you,
everything Ray just said, that was amazing. Okay, cool. Our next performer is Diana. And before we move on real fast, for everybody who arrived after the beginning, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. You all have done a beautiful job of this, but yes to staying muted during performances. But also, if you could turn on your videos. I know Zoom culture, y'all love to be your little boxes with names. But for audience feel, because this is a masterclass and we love seeing people's faces, please do turn on your video. And also, if you do want to turn off your mute just for a second for applause, you can do that. And then recommended optimal viewing during the back and forth is to put it in speaker mode for those speaker view as opposed to gallery view. And that's it with that. Diana, if you are ready, I think we're ready to go.
I'm good. Cool. So, hi everyone. My name is Jeremiah Wang. As Jenny said, I just recently graduated Harvard as well in neuroscience. And today I'll be playing the first movement of Glazunov violin concerto and also a portion of the second movement.
Dang, that's really good.
Bravo.
Bravo. Are you gonna wait? Did you say you wanted to play another part of another movement, or should we just work on this
Oh
one?
no, sorry, this first and second bleed into each other.
Oh, I should probably know that. Yeah, I never mind. Uh, anyway, yeah, I it's been a while since I played this one. I did learn this one though. I promise. I can think of actually I was just as I was listening to you play, I was like, dang, what am I gonna say to her? Really good. Like, yeah. Um, so why didn't you choose violin as a major?
Harvard didn't have a violin performance major.
Oh, couldn't you have done the Harvard NEC?
No.
No, no. Okay.
I don't know, I think I was interested in just looking at of the more like behavioral side of music. So I studied like music cognition with neuroscience.
It's
And then,
incredible. I mean that you're, you know, and I mean because yeah, I'm in awe that you can like do so many things and neuroscience and play the violin. Uh, yeah, wow. I struggle just to play the violin, but let's. I mean, where do we start? I mean, it depends on. Okay, because I think like for to improve from your current level to like it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to like if you want to improve to the next level, you're like already at the top of like I would say like you know like of what yeah that there's the next level then gets you that then you're competing with like people in like the top orchestras like you know and that's like that tends to not be as fun to focus on because that's where like you know where you hear all the musicians crying in the practice rooms, right? um there's all that kind of stuff. So I mean, okay, for example, let's see. So maybe to think about like color. Um, so when you're playing, you want to start thinking about how can I'm gonna lower my thing a little my thing so it doesn't peak as quickly. Okay, here we go. So you might have to raise my volume, but so when you think about the expression, you know, right now you have a really beautiful sound, and then it's like, okay, on top of that, what kind of beautiful sound? That's the next level of what you're thinking about. It's like because beauty in itself is not an emotion. It's like what's behind the beauty, right?
right.
Like so when you start, can you just start the beginning? Like think about and when you start that, think about like is it a dark expression? Is it mysterious? Is it common or is it ominous? Is it those kinds of those are the questions you ask, and then you pick maybe not just one, but maybe one or two, or you blend it and then you inject it into the music a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
So which one did you pick?
Well, I was trying to go for more like troubled, filled with tension kind of.
I felt that like it was actually I felt like you went for the very confident route.
Ah,
Okay, but I think that if you're troubled, a troubled person, and I'll tell you why, because you were very like kind of went straight on, and a troubled person would kind of question themselves, right?
mhm.
Would constantly have a anxious kind of questioning. The anxiousness comes from constant self-questioning. I mean, you're in neuroscience. This is like you definitely know more about this than I do, but the questioning has to appear in music too. So how that appears is in the form of releasing notes. If you constantly barrel on, even if I feel like I'm doing anxious, it's not coming out as anxious. I need to do. You know, you need to like have a bit of swell going on. Okay, so and swelling. Okay, now you might have gotten told this when you're like by your teacher at one point. It's to not make like unnecessary swells.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be bad. But if you da ya da 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 ya da da like aim for certain notes to do swelling, and when you are aiming for it, that means you're not swelling, which means you should be going back. That's a good rule of thumb. So let's say, for example, I choose da to the da, the e. Okay, da ya. I'll go towards the e. Da ya da 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 da. Then maybe the d is the next one. Let's say I do a first note of every bar. And now I choose those as the important notes, and then the notes before I swell into them. All right, because a swell takes time. You can't just, I mean, I guess you could just swell only on one note itself, but it sounds more natural when you have a bit of time before that note. So, okay, let's practice that.
Okay.
So you're basically shaping, we're going in and shaping everything now.
Cool.
That's better. That's really good. I can hear it flows, the ebb and flow. Okay, now when you figure that out, now it's time to not be predictable, right? Because now it's like we've got that flow, but it's on every single one. So okay, like human behavior, you establish the kind of predictable path, but then like the first two times, you need two times to establish like a rhythm. Sorry, not a rhythm, but like let's say like for people to expect something, right? And then the third time you do the opposite. So a pattern. That's what I was trying to say. This time. See, so I go da ya da 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 da. I wait until because I know I have the da da da, right? Da 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 ya da. Maybe I pull back immediately there in a half bar, so which I haven't done before. But then let go. I think maybe you thought because I pulled back half bar ago that I was going to go. No. which sets up that nicely for a quieter kind of, yeah. So those are the things to think about. Yeah.
Cool.
Want
Oh,
to try it?
sorry.
Go for it. Okay, so that's really good. I think that is that's really good because it's like it's really nice and honest playing. It's like you go for it and then you come back. And so we've established like that layer. Now in music, because it represents like people like and people, I don't know, it's like, and it represents like you want music to be complex, you want to have many layers because that's what keeps people intrigued and listening. And an overly complex person is a difficult person, right? I can tell maybe you're a very honest kind of person and you're just like very like direct, or maybe, or you're like, oh no, I don't like the sound of that. I can be manipulative. No, I'm just joking. But like I think that in music you need to have a little bit, especially in this mood. This mood needs to have a bit more like you don't reveal everything. Like it's not like you want to leave something like your last card. You don't want to reveal that. And then change the character there, right?
Yeah.
So even when you're building to that point, because it's, so you're, of course, that's the beginning of the nice of the flowery passage, and then the normal way would be like, oh well, each time I build larger. But how you build is how, if you just, this is how many chips I have. I'm just going to put them all. And next time I'm going to get more chips. I'm going to put them on the table because I have more chips now. That's like not the way to, I think that then that's like the one way. And then you have to like, but you have to like, and then you put on some on and then you kind of remove a bit. And then there's a little bit of this play that one needs to have to achieve that next, the proper way. Yeah. Do you want to try that?
From
When you give, don't try to give, but then immediately try to take it back a little bit, I would say. You want to start from da 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 da, that one.
okay.
Yeah. I think that's better. I think that's better. I think you can release on. Because when there's fast notes, it already creates something to fill, so you can use fast notes to be a little dip. That's a good moment. Wait, try that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I think that was great. And then you want to start the next section before 4. Yeah, and there make sure you open up. So make sure you save your kind of the real sound, the singing sound for that moment. Don't use it before. Okay. Now here, so here we go. You still, even though it's ta 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 ta, like he has those lines, but you still got a phrase. You don't want to like chop them like that. You still want to maybe ta ta ya ya. You still want to go to the da ya da ya na da da ya na da ya. And there's a little bit of play in the rhythm as well, right? So, and including even starting from here. And when you sort of flourish there, there's a difference of. That's like kind of like here I am, da, da. But I think this is more of like a wow, where you see the beautiful view. You're on the top of the view, but you don't own the view. It's just you're seeing it. So don't push so hard, you know. Just open up. So think about like the delicate moments too. This is like such a different style from the beginning.
Right.
All right. Yeah, that was very nice. I felt like I especially liked before 4. I felt like this was just very beautiful. You didn't try to own the view. You just basked in it, and that's very important in that moment. And then at 4, I think we only got like 1 minute, but it's a complicated thing of wanting to take time, but not syncing on every note. The more you take time, the more you'll sync, and the less you'll be able to float, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The impression we'll get, even though you might not be ready to move to the next note, you have to still bear in mind, and then find certain notes to move forward on. So and then certain notes to float, to sort of get that extra float.
Mhm.
So that's how, like, to create a it's very, I know in music it's, I don't know if it's in other instruments, but I've come to realize to make it sound simple, it's really like one of the most difficult things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of one of those examples where you got to try and make it sound as simple as possible. And by doing that, you should just like try to aim, like pick where you take time. Do you want to just try that really quickly, and then we'll have
Yes.
to finish. Oh, sorry, you already loosened your bow.
I'm good. It's fine.
Oh, okay, okay. You know what? Why don't you try the opposite bowings? Try starting up bow and from the tip. So, I would say that that F is the time, not to go forward on that F, but the others you can, yeah, don't choose the F to go forward.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You hear the difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel that because, and so that's why I always say, make sure you sing it before and take note, like sing it the first time how you would, and then the second time, start listening to yourself singing. There's something about that after playing this that makes it so intimate, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Thank you so much. And it was a pleasure to hear you play. And good luck with everything. All right. Glad you got your internet sorted. Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you so much, Diana. Okay, Jeremiah, you're up next. I don't think too many people just joined, but for those of you who did during the last performance, hello and welcome. A reminder to, if it is possible, please turn your videos on, and yeah, stay muted. But you guys are all doing a great job of that. So let's go.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeremiah. I was a Slavic major. I just graduated, and a music minor. And I'm playing the first movement of Beethoven Violin Concerto. Like, maybe I won't play the whole thing because it's very long.
Yeah. Why don't we have you go until just the first, like the expression before it's so when it comes back to the G, like the G major, like just before,
Awesome.
just finish before that. Yeah, that'd be
Great.
great. Wow, amazing. That's great. Fantastic. Wow, this really good playing. You said you wanted to do music after, right?
Yeah.
What do you I think that you gotta, yeah, it's really great. What are you majoring in now? Or
Um, I'm going to Juilliard for masters.
oh, okay.
Um, and I ideally want to play in a chamber group.
That's great.
Quartet, sorry, quartet. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wow. Amazing. I think I love your style playing. It's very intimate. Um, I think that chamber music would actually suit you really, really well. And you obviously listen to yourself playing a lot. So I can hear that as you're playing, which is a great thing. Um, so honestly, not much to say. I mean, it's really, really amazing. I wish I could hear you in person. You know, that'd be even better because I would love to hear like get into the sound. But I mean, we're doing the best we can here. So I'm gonna focus instead on phrasing a little bit. Well, I think your phrasing is fantastic. there are just moments, and this happens to all of us, like myself included, where it's like if we're when we're listening, it's a careful balance of listening here versus listening, putting ourselves out there and listening. So I want to try and encourage you to, when you're playing, to also think about listening to yourself, both as you are here, focused here, but also pitching an ear. And that's why we out there, as if you're, and if you're in a not so big space, try to imagine as if you were in a space and putting yourself out there. But even if you're just, I don't know, in a room and the door's open and you can see down the hallway, to imagine yourself down that hallway, that would help as well. It's because there are moments, for example, where you take a little bit of extra time, like you go like, and then you go. So there's a little bit where it just doesn't, like, if I was imagining the orchestra and I was as you were playing, it would, like, but I think that if you were playing with orchestra, you would probably adjust to that as well. So I don't want to like get into that too much, but just so you're aware, I just wanted to sort of bring that to your attention. So we're probably not going to focus on that too much, but just so you're aware, to always have that in your mind. And as long as it makes sense to you that the orchestra part is playing in a way that is like how a conductor would do it, then we're okay. Then on top of that, I was going to say that, well, if you're going to go into, I was thinking like, I was thinking like for a concerto, perhaps certain parts could be a bit broad, like bigger. I think that your style of playing is very intimate, that perhaps not even you, hey, look, you might not use it, but it's always good to have the skill, right? Like, why not? So, for example, where you so like to be able to not to, it's so easy to just like it's a yeah, because it's hard to play big in this concerto.
Definitely.
So do you want to try that? Just that, because that creates contrast, because we have so much already and this stuff is like the really kind of weaving stuff, but then when you go to have, like, you go into orchestral tutti mode, and then you go into like the kind of, you know, but then you have the boisterous, that there's two sides to this. There's the yeah, because there's Beethoven as the orchestra, and then there's like this ideal, but then the violin part in the concerto, I feel like has to play both parts. Yeah. Cool. So do you want to actually maybe play that, actually, because I feel like your intimate parts are really good. So maybe start from or anywhere, or you can even start before.
That's fine. That's a good spot.
Okay, cool. Yes, and I wanted to talk to you about, okay, so certain things are rhythmic choices, and I think like it's gonna get you into a little bit of trouble. Like if you go da 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 da, like
Right.
Yeah, cool. Like I found that like maybe you heard it. Maybe Anne Sophie Mutter did it with Berlin Phil. But you know, that's Anne Sophie Mutter and it's also Berlin Phil and like I found that when the more I've played with orchestras, the more they're willing to do things like that.
Right.
But at the same time, it takes time to ask for. Each one is sort of a bit of a musical flex because I can, but you don't want to confuse that with a real reason, a genuine reason of that, because each time you do that, you are asking for a lot of trust. You're saying, I know I'm doing something outside of the rhythm, and you just have to trust me because I know that this is good. So every time we take time, every time we do something outside of what would be the normal box, not saying that you should play within the box, but you have to build up trust. And every time that people can't seem to get along, catch you or something like that, you're breaking that trust. So you gotta and then knowing where the line is, you can go further and further away from what is normal and then end up like somewhere out there. That's also not good too. So there were also those moments that were. I'm being very, very picky right now because you know, I mean, you're good enough for me to pick on. So but that sort of happened as well, like that, and that's one of them. So because you think about the orchestras, they've accumulated momentum. You have to think about, you just like decide to stop that momentum. That's like stopping an avalanche. You're not going to be able to do that. Like no, like you're going to have to like left turn an entire freight train at that point. It's not going to happen. But there are other places where you can take time. For example, because there. But then as soon as you go da 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 da, like then you have to know. So knowing that what's underneath you is so important, and then to go forward there. Yeah, but not to wrangle time. There were a few moments where you took time where it doesn't make sense to take time. So I just want you to be aware of that. Well, okay. Can we just maybe let's just start from the beginning again and let's hear it. Okay. Okay. You know that after you play that ya da 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 da, and then on that note is the fourth timpani, right? Yum bum bum ba da da da. Right. So that has to be after you commit to that note, then it's like in time. And now let's talk a little bit about before. I feel like your build from this is a build, right? Where are we going? Oh, here. And the orchestra, the whole orchestra goes ya da 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 ya on the ya. Then you go da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. And then can you like there? what am I trying to say here? Sorry, it's been so long since I've had to explain musical thought. Okay, so what basically you go to, yeah, we felt that energy, right? On your sforzando, on the orchestra sforzando, and then we go twice again, da, yeah, we've established a pattern, da 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 da. Remember, third time is, oh, da 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 da. You need to play that out more.
Yeah.
That concept. Remember, we established pattern. It's like that appears all the time in music. 2 times is the pattern. Third time, oh, psych kind of thing, right? So, but like, and then that creates, in this particular moment, it creates anti-gravity. It creates like, whoa, we're floating, right? That kind of, because we've had that this. And then you feel your feet on the ground. But if you cannot manipulate gravity too hard, otherwise it becomes not like like we don't believe it anymore. If you stop on every single one like you do,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Right.
You got to give us a flow. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I couldn't say it shorter. You want to try that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still, Jeremiah, I'm still like finding it that when you go ta da da da, okay, the first time is fine. Da 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 da. But then you go again ta da da da. Like each time you're doing. I think the whole point is to let it be like really okay, like effortless and very flowing. So. And remember, it's not on the lower octave, it's on the upper octave. And yeah. So maybe not on the B. The B is the only note where I find that it's like, oh, I'm getting reminded again that you're taking time on the start of every bar. So can we try that? Not to do that?
Yes.
Okay, but remember, the orchestra starts on yaga daga 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 ta. So you cannot slow down too much there either.
Yeah.
Right? Like otherwise the orchestra's like ya da 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 ba da 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 bum bum ba da da da. It's too much, too big of a difference.
Okay.
So you gotta think about that. Yeah. Those are the kinds of things where it's like try playing with a metronome and then realize how much time you're taking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll just think, but I'm not taking that much time. but you don't know anymore, you know, because from your perspective, it's already, you've already been so used to it.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the kinds of things that I think it's important. Do you record yourself when you play?
Occasionally.
Occasionally?
I would wish to
Okay.
do it more often.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's a good these days, especially, you know, it's like best teacher, right? Best is ourselves, worst critic, best and worst critic. So that's something. Please do that more.
Yeah.
Um, and in certain moments, you know, even play along. If you Nobody likes playing along to a metronome, but sometimes it's good. And then sometimes try playing along to other recordings,
Yeah.
you know, and find like, okay, not for the sake of copying the violinist, but for the sake of the orchestra,
Right.
you know, what's going on underneath there. I know calibrate. It's just all about recalibrating. Um, do you, is there any other questions that you had? Just want to, before I try and find something that,
I guess what you were talking about with Brandon at the beginning, which is just um, like what are some methods that you have, I guess, to when you're performing, especially to be able to like disassociate your mind from like the physical, or I don't know, to not be so focused on what you're doing physically, but more what you're trying to do, or I don't know.
yeah, good question. I'm gonna try. Trusting myself, having a lot of confidence, that for sure. Not insecurity is like hitting the brakes for flow in a concert. Questions during a performance to yourself, that's like totally that's like brakes. That's hitting the brakes. You don't want that. It like messes up your system. You don't want to be like pedaling and braking at the same time. It's just not good. This is not efficient. It's bad for your engine. Everything is like you overheat. This is terrible. So it's a matter of, and sometimes, and so, okay, confidence, that's easier to say, we'll just have more confidence. But I would say now that we know that it's that, maybe it's about being okay with, maybe it's not about establishing confidence, like, because confidence we think about like establishing dominance, but maybe it's more about like just being okay. A quiet, confident person exists, like someone who's just okay with, yeah, it's okay. Like whatever happens, it's okay. Maybe that's the start. So then, okay, maybe it's starting with okay with if I overdo it and I'll have a scratchy sound. That's okay too. It's starting with that in the practice room, right? Starting with being okay with if I play too soft and it doesn't speak, but it's okay too. So it's all about finding those moments in the practice room and then starting practicing with that mentality with, hey, it's okay because at least I tried it. I went 100% in that direction. I can tell myself that I know that like, and I went for it, you know, I went for the softest moment. I went for the most, and if it doesn't sound out, it's okay. I mean, drats, but it's okay. So, you know, that's where, that's, I think, more important than trying to say, let's find confidence. Yeah. I think then all of those things add up where you then look back and then you're like, you're confident in yourself that you did everything you could. I think that's a form of confidence. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks. That was really helpful to hear.
No worries. Sometimes it's helpful for me too to try to think about what it is. How do you get to that mindset? Because I can tell you it was a long process, and it's going to be a long process. I mean, that, I mean, hearing it maybe spoken like that, maybe it'll cut off like a bit. Maybe it'll cut off 2 months from your 5-year process, you know? But yeah, it's still 2 months. 2 to 6 months off of a 3-year process. You know, it's still time that you save. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that helps. And good luck at Juilliard.
Thanks.
Have fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. I think now is a good time to move on to question and answer. If performers, you guys are all done with asking questions, obviously, like Ray said, you guys all did amazingly. Thank you all so much again. Yeah, so the way we're gonna do this is a lot of you have sent in some really fun, interesting questions for Ray to answer. And so we're gonna do some of those maybe for about 15 minutes, and then y'all will have the chance to say some if you want. Raise your hand and we'll pick on you and you can say your question out loud for Ray.
Yeah, and you could be any question. It's fine. It's like, I am totally okay. I am very open.
Heard him. Totally okay and open. Okay, so there's actually a couple of interesting categories that questions have divided themselves into. So one of them from Alex Kohler and I believe Christine Hong. What are your inspirations, either people or things, for your music making?
I was so I freaked out for a second because I thought my original sound wasn't on, and I clicked it, and then I heard the baby scream, and then I completely
I'm sorry. That is on mine. There are children in the yard screaming for some reason. Yes, I apologize for that.
Okay. Could you just say the question one more time? Sorry.
Yeah. So 2 people asked the question, what are your inspirations, either people or things, when you're playing music? And
okay. All right. That was actually a pretty simple question. I don't know why I just did not hear it the first time. My inspirations. Well, I mean, in music, that's pretty easy. That has been pretty much the same. David Oistrakh is my favorite violinist. I find that for me, you know, there's usually, for violinists, there's usually, like, if you're into the old school guys, like there's all the others, Fritz Kreisler, you know, Yehudi Menuhin, he's like the last old school guy. And there's, you know, a bunch of Isaac Stern, Nathan Milstein. But the main 2 camps are David Oistrakh or Jascha Heifetz. These 2 are like the when you encounter violinists, it's like, oh, you're okay, you're a Heifetz fanboy. Okay, yeah, sure, okay. You're Oistrakh. And for me, Heifetz was this dude who was like incredibly skilled technically, and very like had this like determination, the steely determination. Nothing could faze him. But for me, Oistrakh is this warmth, is this like absolute benevolent sound, has this attitude that the music is greater than, you know, he's got his say in it, but that music is even greater than he is. And I feel like that is the sort of attitude that one should have, that by being, you know, the servant to the music enough, in time you become the master, but you cannot force that mastery. I think the mastery has to be, it cannot be forced. Mastery can never be forced. It's just others perceive you, right, as the master. It's not a title that you can ever bestow on yourself. So I think that Oistrakh had that in him. It's that quiet confidence that I think I really admire, that quality. Non-musical, I mean, it just depends, you know, that I kind of go in phases, because it just really depends on what I need at the time. Like who you might need to let go, right? And you might feel like, wow, you know, Elon Musk really knows how to just not give a crap about what anyone else thinks, you know? And you're like, he's my hero at that moment. And then after you've, you know, had enough of that, you're like, wow, the guy's really, really insane. Maybe I don't need to go that far. But at the time, maybe you really did need that. So that was good for you. I think those kinds of, that's normal. I think it's okay to be like, I really admire this person, and then to later change your mind. But I've had a lot of those kinds of non-musical idols. I also, back to musical though, Yo-Yo Ma is another person that I've really admired. I feel like he really manages to, throughout the course of his career, to sort of give that, that he's just so generous. He has that vibe that he's so generous, and even though you might have never met him or heard him even talk, just from the way he is, his aura, seems like he's so friendly. And that was always someone who I wanted to sort of like model myself as a kid. You know, I was always like, wow, he's just the ideal type of musician. I always wanted to be the type of musician that people could see and be like, and you know, at the concert hall and be like, wow, you know, he's amazing, but you know, like I could be like him. Versus like there are other musicians that when you go and watch them in concert, you're like, oh God, that person's a god, and I'll never be like that person. So I wanted to always be the opposite, to be like, yeah, like maybe I could be like that too. If he can do it, so can I. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go into a serious, I guess, question. Where do you see the future of performance going as a result of COVID-19 and this whole situation?
Oof. Wow. Where do I see the future? I think that things will recover, but it will take time, and concerts will be the last thing. Honestly, it's because it's just large gatherings, right? And I think it'll be interesting to look at how Asia handles it. I think, you know, that'll be a good indicator, as with everything, I think, like during this pandemic, see how they handle it, how fast they recover, and, you know, hopefully like learn from like how, yeah, if the wave happens sooner there, then we can see how we can adjust here accordingly. And by here, I mean in the States, obviously. And then I think that personally, it's the time where it's time to really think outside the box. Because that's all we're basically forced to. I think like classical music for so long just sort of went into its comfort zone, went into its ivory tower, and just had the attitude, audiences will come to us. And to me, that was always something that I just felt like this whole, like kind of executive club, this members club feeling. I never could feel quite comfortable with it because I never felt like I was ever truly a member of this club. So that's why I sort of did all the other stuff. Like some of you might know, I'm pretty active on social media, and I just generally don't have a traditional approach to a classical concert career. But like, that's because of what they are doing. Not like, I think that now more and more people are doing what I've always thought was this way. You know, why would you not want to use tools? Like, why would you not want to use, I don't know, a smartphone if you have that in front of you? It's like that's like as simple as that. But you know, in the classical music industry, it's like, oh no, we cannot, we have to be careful. And it's always this overabundance of cautiousness that's really just not wanting the status quo to change. And once you realize that, it's kind of like, yeah, it's unfortunate. Let's try and then, you know, it's unfortunate that it has to take a pandemic for people to wake up a little bit and realize that change is needed. But I mean, you know, I think that's what just happens. And yeah, I think that I'm optimistic, but I think it's going to take, I think that it's unfortunate that, yeah, and classical music will suffer the longer this goes on. So I think that hopefully we recover quickly. And but you know, classical music is already pretty fragile, I think, as an industry. Though I think people have realized what we need to do now. We don't need to be punished further. I think that's hopefully I think that's a lot of what the mentality is right now. And like people are just trying to find ways to hold on. Like, yeah. I don't know if that really answers the question. It's just kind of a lot of uncertainty in the air right now.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. I think we can all relate to that uncertainty. So I have one more, a little lighter question, hopefully, and then I think we can open it to audience questions here. So if you have a question, use the Zoom raise hand function. Hopefully you know how to do that. And then we'll call on you that way. So the last one I have that is a little more fun, yay, is if you were to play any instrument besides violin, what would it be? And I have one enterprising individual who specifically asked, if you were to play any brass instrument instead of the violin, what would it be and why tuba? So if you're,
I'm sorry to disappoint you, you know, whoever the tuba fan is, but I certainly would not play tuba. I would not want to have to carry around such a large instrument, that's for sure. So all the large instruments, like besides piano, you know, because you don't have to carry that around, like, but I don't know. What would I play? As if I didn't play the violin, I think what I would ideally, you know, this is again like what we think of ourselves like, oh, I would love to play the cello, but then I look at my fingers and they're so thin that I'm like, maybe my fingers would just break. They would just like, you know, like when I'm trying to like play on the C string, it's like as thick as my pinky. So maybe that wouldn't work. And I don't know, maybe I would just play the recorder. I don't really know. I hated the piano as a kid. I always thought of it as like this giant instrument. I was just like, but the violin, you know, it grows with you. You get a, you know, you start on a 1/16 or whatever, and then you upgrade. And each time you upgrade, you're so super excited because it's like, yes, I've grown. I'm getting a bigger instrument, and that part was always very exciting. I don't know, maybe okay, fine, tuba. No, I don't know. I have no, yeah. Next question. Next question.
Like, okay, I guess that wasn't a lighter question. Okay, questions from, I apologize for that.
I have a tendency to, no, it's okay. All my friends tell me I have a tendency to overthink things. I'm like, I tend to, like, there is no simple answer to anything. And I hate that about myself. And I don't know. It's just this thing. And the quarantine has made me even more in that direction. And it's a bad thing. So I'll try to answer as simply as possible.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure so many people relate to that. I relate to that. Okay, so people with questions, you can raise your hand in the Zoom function. If you go to, I believe, participants, and then you see a list of names. Next to your name, you can raise your hand. Or you can also just unmute and talk. Otherwise, that were submitted. So, okay, from Okay, I have unmuted Joseph H. Is this Joey?
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
hi.
So my question is, like, from now until May, is there any recommendations you would have to prepare better? And also at Menuhin, was there anything different you would have done that you would recommend?
From now until May.
Till Menuhin. Yeah.
Oh, are you going to Menuhin?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Thanks.
Let's see. Menuhin, I would say for those kinds of competitions, so yeah, make sure you're like listen to like, I mean, everything's on YouTube now, so you got all that material there, you got all the knowledge, and it's all there. Just practice, and then right before the competition, so you're practicing everything up until like 2 weeks before the competition. You're practicing all 3 rounds, and then right like 2 weeks before, I would start practicing only first and second round. And then starting a week before, I would only practice first round, because there's no point in practicing, you know, your concerto if you don't get in past the first round. So that's the method, step by step. Check in with a concerto if you need to. If you feel like otherwise you can't sleep at night, check in with it, but don't spend too much time on it. And so then you want to, hopefully you have picked a concerto that you're familiar with. That's the thing about competitions. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just pick a concerto about like that I want to, you know, learn. And I think if you did that, that's okay, because you get that extra year of practice this time. But that's the double-edged sword about competitions. It's like, you know, you compete and you tell yourself, oh yeah, I'm going to do it for experience. But in the end, you know, you're hopefully doing it to hopefully win, right? Or get a prize or something like that, or pass through a few rounds, get more performance time on stage. And so, yeah, that's why it's important to do competitions, but also to, while you are like, so don't only practice the competition stuff now. I think you only really need to start practicing probably like 6 months before. 6 months would be a good time to then focus in on that. But I would say from now until 6 months before, practice a lot of other stuff, because it'll expand your like musical aura, knowledge. Hello? Bye? Okay, got it. Cool.
Okay.
Oh, why? Oh, hi. You're still there. You're just muted.
Hi.
Does that sort of make sense? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Joey. So this is from, have a request to ask a question from Christine Hong. Christine, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us this morning. This is really awesome. I really like that you touched on how in the classical music industry, like, we have this attitude of like, the people will come to us. And in any other industry, like, that's just not the case. Like, you actively invest in marketing, you go find your customers and you bring them into your concert halls. But in classical music, it's been that way for a very long time. And I'm really curious for you, as like someone who's active in this industry, like, what do you think are some ways where we can like adopt technology or like change our attitude to how we connect with our audiences that can help move us forward?
Well, I think right now is, you know, without trying to make a startup, like a premise for a startup right on the spot, I think it's time for you to just try any kind of idea, because, and I think a lot of, right, it's like there's a lot of, what am I trying to say here? You have the opportunity now while things are on pause to even come up with the idea, think about how you could, there's a new set of rules now. Think about how you could like still move forward under this new set of rules. Basically, audience have to, right now, the dilemma is this. Once we start coming back, it's already starting in Europe, you will only allow like maybe a fifth of the audience. So that means, or like a quarter of the audience. That means on average, even a 2,000 seater concert hall, you only have 400 people, like, right? Like 400, 500 people will be allowed in the hall. How do you, and then yet you've got to have people on stage performing. Does that mean you suddenly have to get the musicians to perform twice a night? What if they're paid per service? And so there's a little bit of that kind of, then we go into like a business sort of thing. But then you might be against the unions, because the unions might like want to, say, well, we need to be paid X amount per service, right? Then he's just like, oh man, like, but that aside, you can still work on the tech stuff, which, live streaming obviously is becoming a big thing now, but then how to do it where it's affordable, where you don't need a huge team. I think that's the sort of thing. Or how do you, and people, or how do you like do remote teaching is another thing, but then how are you going to make that affordable as well? Because the student is limited by the tech they have, right? Like, look at today's masterclass. Like, you're using a laptop microphone, right? And your laptop, most people are using just, laptop speakers, microphone, camera. How is that going to be fulfilling? People will just probably want to just wait until the pandemic's over, because what's 6 months? What's taking a year off from going to a concert for most people? So I think it's like, but then so you think about maybe not a short-term response, but maybe a long-term, maybe something that can just supplement. Then you start going to this way of thinking, supplement the recovery, maybe help boost the recovery. Okay, so the recovery. Old people will most likely not want to be the first to go back to concerts, because they're gonna they don't want to do that, right? Even us, we might be like, oh well, maybe I could wait a few months before I go back. How do you do that? I mean, and so those are some questions that will need to be addressed, are probably being addressed right now. Do you find maybe is it finding artists who have a young following? Maybe their following doesn't mind, exposing themselves to, or once that there is a vaccine, that it's reaching out to a younger audience, because they're the ones who are more likely to go to concerts during that time. I don't know. It's your original question of like, what can we do to sort of help using technology to help this current, is that your original question? I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, because like I have a lot of friends who just graduated from like conservatory, and they're worried because they're just going into the workforce. They don't know like indefinitely like what their job prospects are going to be. And so like how to get young people who are making music and also engage younger audiences, because as you know, like classical music audiences are just getting older and older year by year, and to keep it growing, because right now I just feel like it's kind of like a dying form of and I know a lot of people say like it's not actually dying, it's growing. If you look at box ticket sales across the country over the past 20 years, it's like we've increased access to classical music in a way that hasn't been done in the past. But how to keep that audience, target audience, like breathing and moving and living and engaging during the times of COVID, and thinking about like how we can bring people together through platforms like Zoom, like we have this masterclass today, just curious to hear your thoughts on.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the short answer is we need more people who are relatable on the stage.
Yeah.
I just need
I
people.
find you very relatable.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think that that's honestly the how we have to do it. If you have more people on stage, like more musicians that young people like, then more young people will come into the concert hall. Now, I think it's pretty much as simple as that. Be more relatable if you're going to become a musician. But I don't know from which side you're asking that question. Are you a musician yourself, or are you sort of going to go into music management and mold and groom artists to be more relatable, or are you going to go into music management or like artistic management in the orchestral presenter side, and you're going to sort of shake things up there to look for such artists? It requires three sets of levels, different levels. The artists themselves and the industry both have to come together in order to make that sort of thing happen. Right now, I think we're seeing pockets of resistance on both sides. Artists won't be taken seriously if they're too out there, right? If they're too much, like I don't think I could have started social media, and that was only like 2014, like when I started doing funny videos, and I was like the first person to do that. Think about it, this wasn't that long ago, and yet that's just the state of the industry. People have to feel like they're allowed to do that sort of stuff, and I think that it's just a slow process, but that it needs that would solve that problem if there were more musical ambassadors that young people liked.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Wow, that was such a long-winded answer. Oh wow, I think I have low blood pressure right now. I need to go eat lunch.
Before you do that, we have.
Oh wait, 5 p.m. Just JK. Well, I need to eat.
Well, we have one. I mean, since you requested fun questions, we had some people deliver. One unnamed member of our orchestra has asked, "How did you get so handsome?" And I think that's the best.
How did I? Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I did lose some weight. I'm happy to talk about that. If that's what we're talking about, then I really enjoy eating, and I tend to as I was a kid, my parents always just, when we went out to restaurants, we never ordered appetizers. We just only ordered main course. We never ordered drinks as well. So, I always felt like I was limited, unless it was Chinese. But then, I don't know. It's not the same, right? And this is like, I always felt limited, and I would always have this almost like a fight with my mother every single time we went and ordered. Like, I want the mega cut steak. And my mom would be like, oh, no, I don't think so. And then I'd be like, no. And I want the onion rings as well. And so then when I finally went out on my own to the States, and I went to, especially when I started touring, my biggest dream, along with, performing around the world, but my biggest dream is to eat around the world, and to eat and not have to worry about the prices on the menu. Most people want to make a lot of money to buy a house, or, maybe I don't know what they want to buy, but I want to buy food. I want my biggest dream, which I have successfully, reached, is so that I can go to any restaurant that I want to and be able to order from the menu. That is completed my life. And so, as you can probably, that's, and to be able to go to the supermarket and even if you see that's not where that coconut water there is like $5 or $6 a carton, and it's not on sale, that you could still pick it up and be like, I can afford this because I deserve this, and to be able to do that's my dream. Your question was, yeah, I've totally avoided it. Definitely. So anyway, I really ate a lot. And during the pandemic, I've actually lost weight. I've totally lost like 10, 12 pounds. It's good. You know, when I'm on the road, I just eat a lot, and I eat for revenge. That's my attitude towards food. I don't eat to get full. I eat for revenge. I think that's a bit of a problem. So I probably have a problem. I love food too much, and yeah. I
I
eat,
feel like
to enjoy on behalf of my own child self, you know, my former child self, when I couldn't get everything I wanted on the menu, and now I can, and it's such a satisfying feeling.
well, I have to say, and I think probably a lot of other people agree with me, but this has been very inspirational in a lot of ways. Thank you so much, Ray, for your time. Thank you so much for, taking the time to work with our performers. And thank you, performers. You guys all did so great. I know Jeremiah left earlier on. But yeah, and thank you for spending so much time answering everybody's questions. I know we didn't get to all of them. I can definitely send you more of them. Other people had very interesting questions as well. But yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, I saw some questions about IU. You know, that's yes. We've had Korean barbecue before.
I mean, if you want to write some answers down, I'm happy to send them out to all the participants today. So anyway.
Actually, we can, you guys are also welcome. I don't know if you have time, but like, you're also welcome to join our Discord. Let me drop that link here, and because oftentimes I'm on there, and that way it's just like we're all there, and we're happy to. It's just like a community for those of you who don't know what Discord is. In fact, actually, you know what? I can you enable so that I can screen share? Is there a possibility for me to do that?
Yes, I can do that. Give me 1 second.
Let's see, share screen. I'm going to drop the link in the description. So it's just like a community, and yeah, especially during the pandemic, it's great. You know, a lot of people, music lovers, musicians as well, but music lovers, which we all are. And yeah, it's where let's see here. Okay, did you? Oh yeah, share a screen. Let's go. So this is actually where I was hosting the other people. So guys, say hi. They're you know, as you can see, this is like we have I guess 47 people here, and yeah, people just been. It's like kind of like chat room based, but we also have practice rooms here on the left. You can see here on the left. So because Discord was formerly used as more like for gaming communities, but during the pandemic, I decided why not repurpose it for kind of as a classical music community, I guess. And there are chat rooms like this, and there are voice chats, I guess, VCs. And I repurposed a bunch of voice chats into practice rooms. So you can see here, practice 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 12. Some people are using practice rooms right now. And yeah, they just, you know, I think it was to address the issue of people telling me, oh, I have nothing to practice for. It's really hard to practice, you know, especially, I don't know if some of you like just cannot practice, procrastinate a lot. I'm one of those people. It's always easier when I know that, not to play for people, but to know that other people are there sort of practicing alongside. But so certain rooms you can request, like smaller rooms. They've all been they're like 15, 20 people can listen in. And yeah, that's one aspect of the community that I really love. We also, of course, you know, have a general chat. General chat is there. We also have lounge. Some people are streaming games, I guess. If you like games like I do, this is also a place for you. Also art as well. We love artwork. You know, there's just art. People share their art as well. I guess Like that's yeah. And yeah, it's I like it a lot. And you know, you're all welcome to join. I don't know what is going on. I just pressed a button and okay, there we go. So yeah, that's I dropped the link there, so you're welcome to be there. And occasionally we have community events like community recitals as well. And also, yeah, I've been getting into lo-fi recently, actually. So yeah, lo-fi has been a new thing. You know, everyone's listening to lo-fi. I'm coming out with a few lo-fi tracks. You know, been working on that, producing that kind of stuff. And yeah, then so I just occasionally I share stuff like that, or I improv there, and people practice. And you know, it's like I can be there or I don't have to be there. Actually, they're very independent without me, and it's not like other platforms where the person has to, you know, like post something for something to happen. You just go on and you just chat. Yeah. So anyway, hope to see you around.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I see some people giving silent applause. I think definitely this were a physical concert hall.
You know, I need to ask, I want to ask a question. Austin, are you a member of our Discord community? Because you look like you belong here. In fact, you look like you've been just reading the chat the whole time.
Well, I mean, you had it up on the stream, but I'm happy to join up.
Oh,
like
okay.
a very tight
All right.
community.
So you're not okay. I just felt like I thought like this whole time you were just okay. So
I'm just having a good time.
you're just having a good time. You just seem like a person who just has a great time.
That's great to hear. Honestly, the highest praise that I can possibly receive.
Yeah,
thank you so much for
like everyone in Discord was like commenting about how you just like you look like you're just having so much fun.
Well, I'm glad.
And they need you. That they're saying that right now. They're you know, you don't believe me, just like watch now. Like you see, like everyone's just like, yeah, Austin.
This is my 15 seconds of fame, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Well, no, it can be a lot more than 15 seconds if you join. Just to the dark side. All right. So anyway, everyone's welcome. I don't know why I just singled you out. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm happy to be singled out.
All right. So thank you, Jennifer, and thank you to everyone thank you, Claire and Jennifer, for organizing this, and thank you to all of you who played today. I really enjoyed listening to you, and yeah, hopefully it was not a complete waste of your time, and hopefully you guys will go away feeling inspired.
For sure. I think, yeah.
Say that about myself. I need food. Yeah, I hope my words really inspired you guys. Now we can all leave thinking about what I've just said.
Well, I mean, we can definitely say it. I think from myself, everybody else, we've been super inspired and also learned a lot more about you than I think we expected to. It's great.
Boundaries now are like just gone. They're like, boundaries are just out the window. I don't even know anymore. It's such a weird time.
Yes, the internet. So as Ray said, we can definitely wrap up now. I think if the performers and members of HRO exec board could stay after, and Ray, also you, if that's possible, not too much longer. We won't keep you much longer.
Absolutely.
Your time is super, super valuable. But yeah, for the rest of us, for the rest of participants, thank you so much for being here. Y'all are free to go. I keep saying y'all. I know that is happening. But yes, and for members of Harvard-Radcliffe Orchestra, thank you guys also for showing up, still participating and stuff. You're gonna get more information in the coming days about this whole situation. We know what's happening with next year now and all of that. So yeah, thank you everybody for being here. And you are all free to go.
Okay, I'm just connect over on Discord as well. So I hope you enjoyed that Discord, fam. So see you later.